In this lesson, we're looking at some single string exercises on the 6th string, and we're going to be doing some scales and triads. Also, we're going to be doing some comparing of the first position to the 13th position, as well as a comparison of an E major triad to an E minor triad, all on the 6th string. So follow the lesson for free and just pick up all the exercises, all the tips from the video. But if you're interested, this comes from my book. This is number 41 to 44 in my book, Exploring the Fretboard, 100 Exercises for Intermediate Guitar, and there's a link for that in the description. Like I said, you can pick it all up from the video, but if you're a little bit more serious about reading music, then you're going to want to get the book and see the music notation, of course. But follow the lesson and pick up the tips. So this is the last grouping of exercises and the last video before we move on to a different section of the book, which compares passages across the strings, which is a little bit more challenging. So we've been doing all these single string exercises to build up anchor points and just to get to know the larger fretboard a little bit more before we start jumping around like crazy. So when you get to the end of exercise number 44, if you feel like you need to go back and do them all again, by all means do so, because the next section will be quite a bit more challenging. But let's dive into this. So number 41 is an E major scale as well as a triad on the 6th string. I'll play it for you first. So, some of these major scales might actually be quite difficult for students to kind of get used to it. So by all means, just like play it by ear and by following the video and the fingering on the page. But then you must say the note names out loud. But however you initially learn the exercise is just fine. You can prep it in any way that makes sense to you. You can just memorize it by looking at your fingers on the fretboard. That's totally fine. But saying the note names out loud is the final step, and you should repeat that for a few days to get used to it. F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp, E, A, G sharp, F sharp, E. Notes go, the triad. E, G sharp, E, 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 G sharp, E. So, saying those note names out loud is probably the challenging thing in this particular case, but of course we're building up tons of anchors around the whole fretboard and getting used to where your octave is and where the 5th is, where the 3rd is. So keep with these exercises and repeat them more than you think you should. Exercise number 42 is an A flat major scale on the 6th string. So this is going to bring us up to some somewhat high positions here. So just go nice and slow. I'll play it for you first. You probably at this point have started to recognize some of the patterns in the major scales in terms of fingering. Don't feel bad if you're just memorizing the fingering and playing it. That's fine. Once you start saying those note names out loud, it doesn't matter how you've memorized it. You'll be doing the exercise as intended. So, learn it by rote, whatever, just get it down by whatever means possible. And then by saying the note names out loud, you will be learning, the musical alphabet and the scale in the proper way. And by, even if the only thing you get out of this exercise is where your A flat is, there and there, that's great. Any kind of anchor at this point, because when we move to comparative exercises, you're just going to want those anchor points and to just know the fretboard, and also just the musical alphabet in all its variety. So anyway, playing it's too easy. You must say the note names out loud. A flat, E flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat, G, F, E flat, D flat, C, B flat, A flat. I assume that students will get confused saying the note names out loud. That is expected. But, if you just practice one exercise at a time for a long time, you will get good at it. I guarantee it, because it's so short, right? And even if you're not comfortable with the idea of the musical alphabet and you're just memorizing this, that's fine. You're actually doing it if you're saying the note names out loud. Okay, number 43. Comparing the first position to the 13th position. We've done this a couple of times in other exercises, and the key point here is that the fingering is the same in both positions, but it just sounds one octave higher here. So that really demystifies this area of the guitar if you know it's exactly the same as this area of the guitar. And saying the note names out loud will even further demystify it, because what you're seeing and what you're saying will come together really nicely. Let me play the passage first. It's kind of a little funny passage, but I had to come up with a couple of exercises with some accidentals in it. So yeah, easy enough. The fingering is the same. So you just kind of learn that passage and play it in both areas. But then saying the note names out loud just really brings home the point that it's the same in both areas, right? F, G, F, F sharp, G, G, A, G, G sharp, A, G, F. A little low for my voice. F, G, F, F sharp, G, G, A, G, G sharp, A, G, F. So yeah, do that for a little while and just look at your fingers, look at the page, any way you do this I think is really, really good. It simplifies the idea of learning the fretboard up here. And, it's a real easy concept to just say to a student. I can tell a student, everything's the same up here as it is down here. But you need to do it. You need to do it with exercises a lot, or that knowledge is fine, but it still looks confusing. It can still just be all confusing. So you must do some exercises and work on it, right? Okay, number 44, comparing E major triad to an E minor triad. So let me play it first. So easy enough, but let's make sure we say the note names. I'm sure some people are getting just a little bit tired of the single string exercises and also little exercises like this that just compare triads. But the reason I like them so much and I use them with students is that, again, real strong anchor point building. Also just a little bit of knowledge about triads and getting that sound into your ears so that when we move to the comparison section of the book, where we're all over in different strings, just a couple of things are kind of simplified in your head and your mind, and you're kind of familiar with the guitar in a different way. It's just a really good little foundation before we do more complicated material. So we must say the note names out loud, though. E, G sharp, B, E, B, G sharp, E, G natural, B, E, B, G natural, E. So that concludes the single string section of the book. There is some more single string stuff maybe, but like that section is out of the way, and then the next section we really start just jumping all over. We take little passages and we play it in different areas of the guitar. So like unison notes, which is one of the most interesting parts of the guitar, is that we can play the same notes in different areas of the instrument. And so, yeah, this will be a further orientation to certain notes, but also a very interesting comparison. And that's what we do in our repertoire all the time, is we have to decide, should I play the passage here? Or do I think it sings more up here? Or maybe I want to do it up here because the next passage is close by. I could go further. You know, the same notes occur in so many different areas, and it's just going to be a really fun little study on that aspect of the instrument.